Making a good game is no easy task on Roblox. You have to ensure that your game is unique, yet easy enough for a child to understand and get invested into. You also have to make your game profitable and marketable. There's games like Replicant County Archives 2 that try to tell a nice, short story that's easy for kids to understand, yet still interesting for teenagers and even adults. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have any microtransactions, and it doesn't have a reason to keep players coming back. For that, you should look to Doors, a Roblox horror game that includes microtransactions, yet still preserves its creative integrity in the form of original, unique characters and music. The level design is nice, and the overall style the game is built in is, put simply, well done. While Doors isn't a perfect game, there's certainly a lot to like in it, and I would have absolutely no problem with somebody saying that it's the best horror game that they've played on Roblox. Far From Land is an example of what I'd call a spectacular Roblox horror game. It's a game where you have to steer a ship out of the way of icebergs, all while evading some killer robots. It's a nice play on the FNAF format. The graphics are good, the sound design is great, and overall, there was serious passion for the end result here. The way that the game introduces its premise, as well as how it's structured in general, is beautiful. Especially after you complete the actual voyage itself, the game assures you that you're still not safe, as you have to explore the ship in total darkness now. What this segment does great is hiding the monster from you. Periodically, you'll hear the monster above your head in the ceiling, and when it gets close to you, you're supposed to shut off your flashlight and hold your breath, enshrouding you in total darkness. This effectively hides the monster, but keeps the threat prevalent, keeping you on edge the entire time. Also, despite Far From Home being a game that can run on the phone, it still doesn't look ugly. And then there's Weird Strict Dad, which is basically a giant middle finger to every Roblox horror game that ever tried. There's absolutely nothing redeeming about it. Everything from the building, to the character design, to the premise, to the microtransactions is so horrible it makes me want to die. Literally everything is wrong with this game, and it has zero redeeming qualities. When this game first came out, I was partially expecting it to die out. It was basically just Residence Massacre, except poorly made. Everything within this game gave you the impression that it was a cash grab. The character design was non-existent. The building was terrible and inconsistent. There was nothing that this game did better than what it was copying. Somehow, this game managed to be a massive hit, and eventually outgrow its predecessor. If Residence Massacre was the kid who said the joke, then Weird Strict Dad is the kid who said it louder. And guess what? I literally predicted this game's existence. I'm sure to wonder if a dozen others with less talent are going to try to cash in on its success and make their own version of it. The best part of Chapter 1 was that it wasn't too difficult to beat. You could just be over and done with it, and never have to worry about it ever again. Chapter 2 attempted to do something different at face value, but ultimately came out to be another cheap and lazy experience, this time trying to copy Phasmophobia, since games like that were popular at one point. The problem here isn't that it's ripping from Phasmophobia, as copying real games isn't an uncommon thing for Roblox developers to do. The problem lies in the execution, the scumminess of it. The game is deliberately designed in multiple ways to get you to die in unfair methods. There's invisible walls where there logically shouldn't be, the game does a poor job at communicating what to do, and overall isn't really friendly to solo players. It's meant to kill you on purpose, with the intent of getting you to replay it over and over again, or buy revives. It's the epitome of malicious game design. Overall, Weird Strict Dad Chapter 2 is just filled with features implemented in poor taste. The game opens with a loud jump scare, there's constant whispering that can persist throughout the entire game. You know, it's really hard to empathize with the whole Roblox developer grind when they're constantly putting you through torture. Chapter 3 once again follows through with this same design philosophy, that of making the game punish you on purpose for playing it. Before Chapter 3 even started, I noticed that they added... Deep Woken? They added tridents that go on your back. However, these tridents aren't actually in the game yet. One may ask, why would they add a feature that clearly isn't ready yet? Well, my dear friend, it's so that they can sell limited edition skins for it and make a quick buck. We love Lunar New Year skins. So basically, you're buying a feature that isn't actually in the game. What is this? Ready to die? The problem is that games like this do this without informing you first that they're not in the game. There's not a little note that says, This skin is a pre-order or whatever. They're not in the game yet. Anyhow, Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3 starts out roughly about where Chapter 2 left off. At the end of Chapter 2, the shadow guy took your mom from you, but left behind his weapon. I assume that the weapon points to his location, like an Apple AirTag. This wasn't really communicated to me as far as I can recall, but whatever. Also, the shadow man's name is now Xenobus, all of a sudden. And then your dad says we're going to find mom, and in order to do that, we have to stock up on supplies. So then you're there for like 4 minutes just holding E over and over again, filling up the boot of your car with water, food, and gas cans. Ah yes, because holding E was the best part of the previous chapter. It totally wasn't a task that could have been omitted without any sort of consequence whatsoever. It totally wasn't a part of the game that was only added to pad out your fucking playtime. There's 13 gas cans, but the game says that the car can hold 50. I think that's because they were just too lazy to change the numerical value when they copy-pasted it. Once again, this entire segment can be either shortened or completely cut out of the game with little consequence, and you'll see why. After the first bit of padding is done, you get into the car and drive to the beach. This is something I actually enjoy in the game, unironically. I like how the game makes you get into the car and drive to the location, using this as an opportunity to load into the next set piece, as opposed to just having a black screen that says, you went to the beach. It's nice for immersion. With that being said, what follows is a big middle finger to the slightest bit of appreciation I had thus far. You need 10 noodles and 1 cup of water in order to buy a boat. This was not communicated properly. In other words, if you don't have 10 noodles, you have to go all the way back to the start after being kicked from the game. You have to watch the entire unskippable cutscene, pack up the boot of the car again, take the drive all the way back to the boat, and watch that entire cutscene again just to go back to where you were previously. Well, Breadian, if they don't have 10 noodles and 1 cup of water, then they clearly aren't ready for the game. When you get onto the boat, you're able to stop the boat and fish for food. Now hear me out, developers of this game. Why couldn't you just make it so that you could desalinate water as well as fish for food? And then look at that! You're able to get everything that you need on the boat. You can cut out the useless padding at the start. You can cut out that unfair restart that happens if you can't afford to buy the boat. Cutting out this part would certainly improve the pacing and overall player experience. Oh, but you guys need the padding. Sorry, useless padding has become a staple of the Weird Strict Dad universe. Sorry. Weird Strict Dad is now part of a new subgenre of Roblox horror games. It's called the lazy genre. They invented it.
Blood, it's just a Roblox game. You're not meant to critique it.
You're a fucking moron. I just gave you like 3 examples of a good Roblox horror game at the very start of this video. The bulk of Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3 places you onto a boat, where you have to travel all the way to where your mother is being held captive. On the way there, you're going to have to dodge icebergs and perform maintenance on the boat, all while evading the monsters. Wait a damn minute. Isn't this just a poor imitation of yet another great and unique Roblox horror game? Did Weird Strict Dad seriously pull the same shit 2 times in a row? 3 times if you count Spectre? So yeah, Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3 is a poor imitation of Far From Land. Oh my god. It's so bad. I genuinely don't think I've ever felt this miserable playing a Roblox game before. So my recording from Far From Land was like 21 minutes, and that's including the tutorial, explanation, the maintenance of the ship, when you get to the end of the voyage. Do you know how long my recording for Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3 was? 83 fucking minutes! So, your goal in Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3 is to get across the sea, but the journey is insanely long. And if you die, you guessed it, you can't respawn, so it's either you go all the way back to the beginning with the holding E, the padding, the unskippable cutscene, the drive to the beach, and then driving the boat back to where you left off. Or you can buy a revive with Robux. This game is just so f***ing manipulative. How can you defend this?
I think you're taking the game way too seriously. Because it looks like it was just made for shits and giggles. And it plays like that too. I just feel like you can't even consider it a horror game. As the creator of the game stated that the game is based on the real dad who'd get up at night a lot to check on their fucking game. Breadian, this game's a joke.
How? The blatant cash grab qualities? The predatory microtransactions? Oh yeah, this game is sure one hell of a funny joke.
That Coomer is back! Yeah, I thought he was gone to Goontu.
I think Weird Strict Dad 3 was done really well, since there's only 2 people working on the game. For that game that size, I will say it's well-executed quality. Doesn't matter for children.
Well executed. Well executed, you say. What was well executed? The fact that it was made by 2 people? That doesn't mean shit. You know what game was made by 2 people? Chain. Well executed. I hope you get executed. Regardless of its artistic merits, of which there are few in my opinion, Chain was recognizable because it successfully tapped into the elusive niche of edgy teenagers who were into gore and loud sound effects. Also, to be completely fair, the game looks nice. As we've seen in the past with games like Those Who Remain, an art style can truly carry a game to help find it its correct audience. Those Who Remain and Chain are similar in that aspect, as they both have fan bases around a similar age because of how solid that their presentation was. You know, of all you people defending this game, let me ask you, are you a fan of Weird Strict Dad? Because if you were, you would know the true purpose of this game. To make money. And you know what I did? I helped with that. I spent a bunch of Robux on revives, I bought game passes, I got multiple of my friends to play and buy revives as well, and most importantly, I made 4 videos on Weird Strict Dad. What did you do? You fake fans? You're a dead customer. If you truly loved Weird Strict Dad, you'd be throwing your money at it, buddy. You're all posers. Okay, anyways, back to the game. As you traverse the sea in Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3, you're going to be able to stop the boat and fish to get some food. But you have to be careful when to stop because Mom is waiting for you. Actually, no, I lied. As far as I'm concerned, there's no time limit. So in other words, gathering all of the food at the beginning of the game can be omitted. You could just give a set amount of starter food and starter water for each person and have the rest of it up to you, the player, to gather. The developers of this game clearly didn't think this feature out because there's no way to get fresh water to drink. The only replenishable resource is food. You think that stopping the boat would have some sort of consequence, but it really doesn't. The only consequence to stopping the boat is that you're just stuck playing the game for longer. You see, the game's antagonist, Xenobus, manifests periodically around the boat as the game goes on. He mainly just tries to hit you and annoy you like a standard Roblox zombie NPC, but on some occasions he can spawn in front of the windscreen, obscuring your view and forcing you to stop the boat to avoid bumping into any obstacles. However, as I said before, Xenobus seems to spawn and board the boat regardless if the boat is stopped or not. So yeah, somehow he can catch up to a speeding boat by swimming, but then walks at a normal pace when he boards it. Because of this, there's barely any incentive whatsoever to stop the boat, because you already have all your food and water stocked up. Xenobus will still spawn regardless, and also, if you need to stop the boat to fish, that means you're probably going to die anyways, since if you're running out of food, you're probably running out of water. You know, the resource that can't be replenished. Why didn't the developers just add a desalination gadget along with the fishing rod? Therefore, you can harvest both food and water. Also, that would eliminate the need for all the resource gathering in the beginning, and you could actually offer an incentive for the boat to be stopped. The only times you'd ever want to stop the boat is to prevent it from running into an oncoming iceberg. You might want to stop the boat for a second, enable the ship's iceberg defense system, yes, this is a real thing, and then restart the boat. The process only takes a second or two though, so your teammates aren't going to have enough time to fish regardless. Basically, to summarize this segment, fishing is almost pointless mechanic that's very poorly implemented, but you know, what should I expect, guys? It's just a Roblox horror game. It can't possibly be good, because according to some people, Roblox horror game developers are permanently handicapped and barred from making anything good ever. Alternatively, you can steer around the iceberg, but you also risk hitting it and taking damage. If your boat takes damage, much like Far From Land, you have to repair it using the hammer. However, unlike Far From Land, there are numerous parts of the boat that cannot be repaired because they're underwater in an inaccessible spot. I thought to myself at first, oh, I can just stop the boat and then jump in the water to repair them. Why would the game put a repair spot there if it's only going to kill me when I try to go for it? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I jumped in the water and ended up dying instantly. Do you people see what I mean now? The predatory monetization, the purposely misleading gameplay that's basically become a staple of Weird Strict Dad at this point. If you put a repair spot there, you're implying that you want the player to repair it. Is that correct? So why would you make it impossible to repair? Oh, it's so that you can sell revives. Or make me replay the entire game again alternatively. How could I have forgotten? I'm so silly. Oh my. If you yourself fall off the boat and buy a revive, you can respawn on the boat, as the game should be. However, if your teammates die, you can actually pay for their revives. Unless they fall off the boat, then they're screwed and you have to restart. What else? The boat has to be periodically filled with gas. Sometimes it drops to freezing temperatures outside and it forces you to stay inside the boat. You get a gun that's used to shoot the Genzombs clones. Yeah, it's basically the same loop of gameplay for 20 minutes straight. That's not even accounting for the fact that we had to restart once or twice. I can't imagine how long people's gameplay would be if they didn't buy revives. The bulk of the gameplay is literally this boat segment where no story beats are established and everything is hard to care about because the game fails to make up for that in terms of gameplay. When you think of Far From Land, you know, the game of this game is trying to desperately copy, you think of how it kept things moving. Like I said, the night segment could be finished in just 10 minutes, and that's counting the introduction. There's a follow-up segment where you have to solve new tasks, which also lasts about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is perfect for a game like this, where things switch up before you get too bored. Additionally, more enemies are introduced on later nights to shake up the gameplay. Weird Strict Dad does none of this. It's the same monotonous gameplay for 20 plus minutes, of which I can only assume is a marketing ploy to introduce this sunk cost fallacy into your head. If you die, you gotta buy a revive, because if you don't, you gotta sit through all this shit again. After the dreaded boat segment, I shit you not, there's only 7 minutes of gameplay left, 3 of which consist of the car driving and an unskippable cutscene. This entire game is literally held together by filler. So you drive in the car again to a weapons store. Why do we need weapons? We literally had a Glock earlier with unlimited ammo. What happened to the blicky? So you go to the weapons store where the guy claims to be out of weapons apart from a few baseball bats, probably because they needed an excuse for why the shelves are completely bare. Do you all see how lazy that this is? Like, you could have added things on the shelves, like a few boxes of ammo or something as decoration. But apparently this entire town ran into the weapons store right before you arrived and bought literally everything in the entire store except baseball bats. All the shelves are bone dry. One can consider this nitpicking, and you're never wrong for having an opinion. But my point here is to bring attention to the fact that even the smallest things this game can't seem to do. Laziness is a core value of Weird Strict Dad development. You can also team kill using the bat.
Fucking bitch.
Trip, push, headshot.
They're using the
Fucking
the
bitch.
scripted bats that exploiters use. Stop hitting me! Oh my god! You dumb Canadian.
That wasn't even me.
Oh, I figured out how to use it.
Yours.
Help, 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 help.
Why would you put this in the game? Oh, you already know, shut up. You go to Xenobus's lair where mom is being held on a chair, then you fight him, then the chair that the mom is on, it's an actual Roblox seat.
He's got mom. Go get him.
Stop hitting him! Oh my... You know what? I'm done with you.
We had a gun.
Can I like beat mom in the back of the head and kill her on accident?
Actually, you should edit in the live leak logo.
Oh yeah, I should.
I don't think I'm clutching.
You're like about to blow, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to. Oh. Alright, let's go. Hug me, dude.
Wait. You can sit on the...
Oh my god. You bastard! You're hitting me! You're hitting me!
Like you can actually sit down, guys. Like they used a free model or something and forgot to get rid of the seat part, and then you kill him and the mom says thank you and that she would have died if you didn't save her. Then Xenobus isn't dead. Wow, all that work for nothing. Wow. Then he turns the dad evil again and flies into the sky into a cloud, and then the mom is like, we're gonna go after him. There's an airport right here. We're gonna go get him. And then it's like, to be continued. What was the point of that entire debacle? It makes no sense. He could have just killed the mom right then and there. Apparently Xenobus is like the Terminator, where he can do everything at any moment. He can teleport, he can fly, he can come back to life. He can turn people evil. There's nothing of interest here. The gameplay is bad. The game looks like shit. The story is bad. The best gift that this game gave me was it being over. I really don't think I'll come back for book 2. I hope people grow bored of this game and it dies. Breadian, you're preying on this game's downfall. Oh, you're just so mad that it's successful. Yes, you're right. A lot of people are actually a little upset that this game exists. Its mere existence pisses people off. Why? Because its popularity tells Roblox developers, hey, this formula works to get easy players and easy money. That's why you're seeing games like Weird Sus Grandma, Home Alone, Weird Stepbrother, and Weird Strict Hotel Guard, and a lot of others. I was actually going to plan on making a video on these. However, I had absolutely no passion for it whatsoever, and I sounded like a broken record because every game is the exact same. Wait.
That's it?
Wait, what? Is this it? Wait.
Does he not even fucking beat it?
Wait, oh. The good timeline. Wait, so if you beat it, okay.
That's it?
That's it?
There is no ending, okay,
That's it?
This is literally what's been happening with the experience games. They're all terrible, and they all promote bad practices, whilst the games who promote creativity fall to the wayside. One game I do want to highlight though is Klaus Carnage, which is a Christmas horror game that actually has some bits of effort here. Sure, it was made to ride a trend wave, but there's cool sound design, there's actually pretty good voice acting, and there's custom UI. It's a very solid game despite being a Weird Strict Dad clone. My friend and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Somewhat. Anyways, that was my review of Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3. Fun, lay down. I think I'm just done with this weird strict stuff for a hot minute. It's too much for me. This week was so bad. You made this week bad. I'm hoping that I can just batter down the hatches and wait out the storm until these games rot away, like how the experience games did. Go play Far From Land. It's literally miles better than Weird Strict Dad Chapter 3. For horror games on Roblox that are actually good, go play 1, Faraway Land. 2, Pressure, work in progress game. 3, Cliffside Station. There, I gave 3 good examples of horror games that have actual effort put into them. Links in the description. Alright, so yeah, I'm Breadian, and I talk about niche Roblox games. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.